Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace to the family, peace to my comrades, and it is always smoke to the COINTELPRO boxing fan. Family, what a night for the sport of boxing. Devin the Dream Haney, Abdullah Mason, Bam Bam Rodriguez, David Benavidez. Family, I've allowed you all to sleep long enough. For us veteran folks, we can't sleep that long anyway. So now that I'm up and I've had a chance to calm down and process what we just witnessed, just know that if you owe me some money, I will be collecting on that bet. Oh, man, family. Everything that we talked about, everything that we have discussed over the last few months leading up to the fight has happened exactly in that order. I told you all what Brian Norman Jr. needed to do. I told you all what Devin the Dream Haney needed to do. I said, hey, y'all, listen. Depending on what people do in their corner, right, is going to play a big part as well. It's so much I want to go over. But I just have to say this. If you all have not realized this by now, it doesn't matter how many exhibitions they put on. It doesn't matter how many clown shows they put on in the sport of boxing. When the real thing is in front of you, it's nothing like it. When you have two superior fighters, when you have two boxers in their prime, elite, it's nothing like it. And what did they kept saying to me? Oh, coach, styles make fights. Styles do make fights. But your strategy has to be right as well. Let me say this, because I told y'all. Damn it, I told you all it was going to happen just like this in this order. Check this out. I saw Brian Norman Sr. go live, with the guy, boxing content creator. And the people in the chat, they were just dragging Brian Norman Sr. And I told you all, these people hop on the train of whoever is fighting against the person that they hate. And that's real. It was something I said yesterday. I was talking to my brother, Brent Fox. And I told him I was actually going to write this down. We spoke about, the cherry. Let me write it down now. The cherry being put on top of the proverbial coon milkshake. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. The cherry being put on top of the proverbial coon milkshake that exposed the cowardice. I'm writing this down, family. The cowardice and spinelessness of the race fan and the COINTELPRO boxing fan. I am going to get that copyrighted. And I probably won't say it again until I do get it copyrighted, right? But I'm watching these people, and they're dragging Brian Norman Sr. in the chat, right? These are the same people that act like they had so much love for Brian Norman Sr. and Brian Norman Jr. The thing about it is, they gonna be all right. Come on back home. ATL got you. But let this be a lesson to everybody. Don't fall for the mainstream media crap in these weirdos in these boxing YouTube spaces, because a lot of them are haters. A lot of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. A lot of them don't really want to see the best fighting the best. They want to see clown shows. They want to see love and hip hop and baddie characters on TV fight real boxers. They want to see Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. They want Jake Paul versus Tank. These are the kind of people we're dealing with in the sport of boxing. So Brian Norman Sr., he goes on, I believe the brother's name is Mill City, right? Goes on there, and they're just, they're dragging him. They're, just saying, nasty things to him. On top of that, they're saying, hey, man, you need to give up. They're saying you need to quit. What did I tell y'all was going to happen? I told you all verbatim. I said, look, if Brian Norman Jr. does not succeed, the hate that they had for Brian Norman Sr. before it was announced, because if you all remember, they were calling Brian Norman Sr. the next Bill Haney before the fight was announced. When he posed over old boy's body, y'all remember that? Now look where we're at. All this hate going towards the father of Brian Norman Sr. Let me say this. I want to give a shout out to all the fathers, all of the USA boxing coaches who played a part in this event. My tea's about to be done. Delano said, peace, Coach Hudson. Brian Norman Jr. is a good fighter, but in that fight, what I saw both fighters have a lot to work on. You would never know that if the best are not fighting the best. Let me say this about, if you all watch my breakdown of Brian Norman Jr., the breakdown I did earlier in the week on what he needs to do to be successful against Devin Haney, I told you all exactly what he needed to do. He didn't do any of that. And to be honest with you, I believe that Team Norman might have fallen into the propaganda that a lot of people who have been hating on the Haneys the whole time, you fueled this. You fueled it to the point where people start thinking Devin is weak. People start, man, I don't care what nobody tell y'all, family. I have been saying this since I've been on YouTube. I have been saying since the Ryan Garcia cheating scandal, I said, if you all do not finish Devin off now, when he goes up in weight and he is comfortable and he has his grown man strength, he's going to start hurting things. I was one of the first people on YouTube to say it just like that, verbatim, just like that. And they said, well, Coach, why did you think that? How do you know that? Because I've seen the man spar when he was a teenager. He was beating the hell out of grown men when he was a teenager. Now, the difference is when you're having to squeeze down back to the weight that you started, closer to the weight that you started competing at. And shame on those commentators. As soon as Devin started looking good in the fight in the second round, the commentators started, I don't know which one, because I was trying to focus on Dev and Brian Norman. But I know I heard one of them say, what did he say? He said, I wonder how many more other fighters are not fighting at the weight they're supposed to be fighting at. You all really have a sickness. You really just don't want to see that brother win. You know what I mean? Whether it's Claudia Trails, whether it's Mike Compinger, Todd Gresham, because I believe Sergio Mara doesn't really like Claudia like that, he was putting her in her place. But I just have to say, that was disgusting. but it didn't matter what they were saying. People in my chat were saying, man, I had to silence the commentary and just listen to you because the so-called people who are supposed to be for the sport of boxing, the so-called people, right? It seems that they're rooting against great boxing. And it didn't start that night. It started a few days before when we were going over what was going on at the press conference, right? So before I get into that, I wanna say congratulations to Devin the Dream Haney. Congratulations to David Benavidez, who I believe has the potential to eventually be a heavyweight. I always look to see what's going on to the future of a fighter. And I've been watching David. David Benavidez could potentially become, one day, at the rate he's moving, and has how big he is, he could become an undisputed heavyweight champion one day. And he will be the first Mexican undisputed heavyweight champion. Undisputed. Not the first heavyweight, first undisputed. I believe he has a bright future. I don't want to take away from the great things that he did last night. But a lot of you know why you tuned in. A lot of you know you were there to see Devin and Dream Haney fail. And it didn't happen like that. A lot of you know that. And this is why we're gonna start our day with some soursop tea. And I can, you know, I'm not here to toot my own horn, but I'm gonna tell you, I told you, family, that ain't nobody breaking this fight down right now, like the way Coach Hudson's gonna break this thing down. Hold on, family. Let me shout out to this soursop. Now somebody asked me, they said, Coach, I always see you putting them leaves in there. What's that? Right. These are soursop leaves. This is cancer fighting medicinal herbal properties. Put that over there. Salute all my beautiful Dr. Cameron Fields in the house. She says, salute Coach Hudson and chat. Blessings to you. Delano, Devin should top 3 or 4 pound for pound right now. I'm having the same tea now. Outstanding, fam. Outstanding. So, Devin Haney, well, Bill Haney at the press conference, let me slow down. I really want you all to just walk with me for a second. Those of you who follow me and actually watch my content on both fighters, and it's just amazing that the people who were trolling, the people who had their chest all poked out, that were telling us what was going to happen, when I'm giving you real boxing science, they're nowhere to be found. Any other day, they on everybody's channel, from the small to the big, right? They're nowhere to be found. That speaks to the character of those kinds of people. I told you all, these are not supporters of the sport. These are haters of the sport. They hated the fact that they had to watch real boxing yesterday. Salute Stephen L. the Mac. They are upset that they had to see greatness again. Huh? Now, those of you who actually watch my content, let's go to Brian Norman Jr. I did an hour-long video on what Brian Norman Jr. needed to do. Now, those of you who actually watched the video, do you think Brian Norman Jr. would have did a better job if my plan My strategy was used or Brian Norman Sr.'s strategy? Brian Norman Sr.'s plan. I'm going to tell you what happened. I want to ask you all a question. Did Brian Norman Jr. fight Devin any differently than he fought Sasaki? Let's get into it, family. Listen, hey, we up. We up. It's early in the morning. I've waited a few hours for y'all to get up because, you know, I'm a soldier, so we get up early. But, hey, I want a Sunday kind of love, a love that lasts past Saturday night. Come on, family, wake up, talk to me. Did he fight Devin any differently than he fought Sasaki? No. So that lets me know that the team fell into the propaganda that was being pushed. Leaping off of his toes. Not setting the things up. Not using a jousting jab. What did I tell y'all? Coach Hudson, let's talk about it. I told you all. In 2 videos I did, I said if Brian Norman Jr. goes out there and throws his jab like this, Devin's going to hit him in his face all night with his own jab. I said Brian Norman Jr. has to do an old school jab with a strong jousting motion, putting his rear hand in front of his face to intercept Dev. Intercept him, right? You're here. Intercepting him. Not here. Not here. Because he's getting hit because he doesn't move his head off the line. Who told you that verbatim? Coach Hudson. Coach Hudson told you that. Who told you about the bald eagle? Going down to grab the aggressive snake, taking it to a terrain it is not comfortable. Who told you that? Who told you? Wait for it, family. Salute to Queen Tay-Tay. Beautiful Queen Tay-Tay. Delano says, you're right, Coach. Brian fights with his head on the line, no head movement and all, even no shoulder movement. I said Brian Norman Jr. has to fight behind the shield. I gave you pictures. I gave you video clips. I showed you the movie 300. I showed you the great Shaka Zulu. I showed you what's called the bull formation method. I showed you war tactics. I showed you. And people still, in their hate, didn't want to hear the science that I was talking. I told you, family, I said, and I'm sorry, fam, I got to do it today. I got to do it today. Because tomorrow I'm going to be flying. So I got to do this today. I said to the family, I asked a question, family. I said, family, has Brian Norman Jr. fought a 12-round fight? I said, family, has Brian Norman Jr. ever been in trouble before in the ring? And if he was in trouble before, what kind of instruction did he get from his father? Do you all believe Brian Norman Sr. gave Brian Norman Jr. great instruction last night? Let's keep it real. Do you all believe Brian Norman Sr. gave Brian Norman Jr. good instruction last night? Brandon Shamar says Devin cooked. Respect to Norman, though. He stepped to the plate despite his inexperience. Yes, shout out to Brian Norman Jr. Brian Norman Jr. is a great warrior. Brian Norman Jr. needs some help at this point. Just like I said during the live, when Abdullah Mason gets back, they might need to add some things to the team. Let's see what else I spoke about over the week. It's just crazy how when we start talking to Sweet Science and the coaches and the trainers and the people who love the sport start talking and we start brainstorming, literally everything that we're saying is happening whether you all see it or not. Who was praising Virgil Hunter earlier in the week and during Virgil Ortiz versus Lubin? Coach Hudson was. And what did we talk about? What did we talk about? We talked about the difference between a teacher, huh? The difference between a teacher and someone who is just a trainer stuck in their ways. See, a trainer, now think about this, family. Pika says, at the first glance, I thought I see Anthony Joshua, the British boxer. I don't. Robert Garcia, Bam Bam Rodriguez. Did you all see those lateral movements that Bam Bam was using? Did you all see the footwork, the L steps that he was doing, the lateral steps that he was doing? Here's the difference. The beautiful footwork. Now, under Robert Garcia, I'm starting to see that he is perfecting his teaching craft, because his greatest fighters have had problems with, guess who? Salute, Mr. Ishmael in the house. Guess who his greatest fighters have had problems with? The slick American black fighter. So now you're starting to see, wait a minute, you're starting to see his best fighters, they're not just brawling, being puncher boxers. They're starting to, after they land a combination, turn. After they land a combination, jab. Which is the same method that Derrick James taught Errol, which, you know, Errol got away from later in his career. But if you go to earlier, when Errol was fighting, when Errol was fighting Kell Brook, when Errol was fighting Sean Porter, when Errol was fighting what's his name that fought Pacquiao? No. That was Crawford. But earlier in his career, when Errol would land the combination, he would jab out to keep you from returning fire. Huh? Salute. Joseph Jackson is in the house. Now, Bam Bam Rodriguez has the potential to be a serious problem because he uses his feet. He is going to be a problem. He uses his feet. Very beautiful. Lateral stepping. But let's keep going. So I spoke to you all early in the week, and we talked about who? We talked about Virgil Hunter. I told you all, somebody said, and they were arguing me up and down. No, coach, no, you see, Bron Norman Sr. got he's a better teacher than Bill Haney, I said, brother, it's not always about who's the better general. Sometimes it's about if the general knows where to take you to get better training. If I lack at something teaching you, I'm going to get you a trainer. I'm going to get you to someone that can teach you better than I can. Let's talk some military talk for a second. Mr. Ishmael said when Errol fought Chris Algieri, he turned him like a merry-go-round. His footwork is elite, from Joseph Jackson. Now check this out, family. When I'm training a soldier, when I was in the military, right? When I was training a soldier and the soldier can't shoot at all, okay? Can't shoot. I have 9 rounds, okay? Just 9, because we're not gonna waste a bunch of ammunition. If me, this was my teaching method, if I cannot get you within the center mass circle of the 300-yard target, right? The paper target, this is the 0. When we're 0 on the weapon, you know what I do? I'm gonna send you to another instructor that might be better for you. So they asked Devin Haney, hey, Devin, what was that shoulder thing about? Huh? You kept hearing Bill say, watch that shoulder, watch that shoulder. Dev gives honor to Virgil Hunter, and Bill gives honor to Virgil Hunter. The brothers salute Ratchet since 91 in the house. Huh? No. See, y'all don't know And none of us knew until the whole press conference that Virgil Hunter helped Bill Haney come up with that strategy. I keep telling y'all, don't let what you see on social media give you a perception that you know what's going on behind closed doors. Now, you all remember for a few weeks, everybody was like, man, where's Bill? All we see is Brian Norman Sr. Where's Bill? They were in the lab, family. Them brothers on the West Coast got together and said, look, we got to put a strategy together. So Virgil Hunter, Mickey Bay, Bill Haney, they got together and they put a strategy together to beat Brian Norman Jr. Now, those of you who watched my video, when I did the strategy for Devin Haney, I told you all, I said, you all are going to be surprised that Devin is going to be able to outshoot Brian Norman Jr. when it's time for the catch and shoot counter. That's how Brian Norman Jr. was getting caught. I told you all, if Brian Norman Jr. allows Devin to start setting his pace with that jab, it's going to be a problem. I said Devin Haney at 147 is going to be stronger. Salute, PGH Big Dog. Now, those of you who have been with me since I got on YouTube, even after the Ryan Garcia situation, I was one of the only ones to tell you, I said, family, don't be alarmed by what you see. When Devin moves up in weight, he is going to start hurting things. When Devin is allowed for his grown man strength to still be in his muscles after weigh-in, he's going to start hurting things. And what do people say to me? Coach, you a lie. Coach, Devin is pillow-fisted. Devin ain't got no chin. Devin's just not strong. Y'all don't study. You have to study. Okay? It don't matter the personality you like. It don't matter what other people say. When it's time to fight, nobody else can fight for you. When it's time to fight, if you use the wrong strategy, you will risk defeat. Abdullah Mason beat Sam Noakes by the hair of his chinny chin chin. And the reason why is because Abdullah Mason was not doing what he is superior at. You do not stand there in the pocket with a pressure fighter that has heavy hands and you have a higher boxing IQ. Why don't you do that, coach? Because if I'm training to fight someone with a higher boxing IQ, follow me, family, we're going to school. We're going to boxing school this morning again. See, this is the difference between those who love the sport, those who have been in the sport, and those who just want to hate. Those who just want to hop on the bandwagons, because none of them are here this morning. None of them were on any other channels last night. They all disappeared like the cowards that they are. But those of us, regardless of who you was rooting for, if you all tuned in, me and my brother Brent Fox, me and my brother Patrice X had a conversation on the panel, and we spoke about how, you know, who had Brian Norman Jr., who had Devin Haney, who had David Benavidez, who had Anthony Yard, who had Bam Bam Rodriguez, who had Fernandez, right? Enoch Bird says, I am a day one, can confirm all facts. The dream come true. Abdullah Mason is the Geron Ennis, both offensively and defensively of the lightweight division. Salute to my brother Enoch Bird. Salute to my brother Patrice X. Talking boxing talk. Now pay attention. God made us in his own image. We going to school, family. Hope you have your notebooks out. Sometimes you got to have somebody on your team. You don't have to fire your father, but you add people to your team. You see what Bill and Devin Haney are doing. Because let me tell you something. Your father might not have all the answers, but a father like Bill still wants what's best for you. So it's a blessing to have something like that in your corner. Mickey Bay, Virgil Hunter. They put the strategy together. Now check this out, family. I don't care what anybody on YouTube tell you. Salute Mook underscore in the house. Those of you who follow my content, who saw me put the medieval picture on my video, and I showed you how when the knights are on the horse and they have the jousting stick, I use that as the example to say whoever gets their jousting stick in first is going to have an edge from the early rounds. Nobody, I don't care what nobody say, nobody else painted that picture. Now, I am as humble as can be, but today I'm going to talk my shit because we went to school on this week. Dark Kent said, Coach, who you picked between Haney versus Norman? I had picked Haney. And not only had I picked Haney to show people that I'm just not biased, I did a video on Brian Norman Jr. breakdown on how he can win, and I did the Devin Haney. Mook underscore, the bald eagle flew high. Now, family, those of you who might be new here, Mook underscore is speaking about some knowledge we put down early in the week where I told you a bald eagle doesn't fight a rattlesnake on his own terrain. A bald eagle swoops down, picks up the aggressive opponent, takes him to where he's strong at, and destroys him in the air. Family, that is what you witnessed. Excuse me. That is what you witnessed. Mr. Ishmael said facts. Even when they had Shane Mosley help with Ramirez fight, Bill got superb leadership skills. Facts. Mr. Cell Block 60, Mr. Tap Out is in the house. Family. Devin Haney almost dropped Brian Norman Jr. with a jab later on in the fight. With a jab. It's the punch you don't see. He's hitting harder. He's at a more comfortable weight. When Brian Norman started trying to muscle him, Devin was muscling him right back. And people mocked me. They mocked me when I said his grown man strength has not been able to be utilized yet. His damn grown man strength has not been able to be utilized yet. And let me say this, I agree with Andre Ward. I agree with Andre Ward. That judge that had it 115 to 114 should be fired. They need to bring that judge before the commission. Now, those of you that don't know this, we're talking boxing talk. If that happens, I don't care if you win. Go ask for that judge's card to be examined. And the board will bring them before and their card, and they will say, Judge, how did you get this? How did you come up with this right here? How did you get 115 to 114? You are a threat to the sport of boxing, and we don't need you judging. We'll go, excuse me, 114 to 113. Come on, family. That's not right. That's not right. Bella Faith, salute. She said, Atlanta's still here. Never been happier to be wrong. Congrats, Dev. And let me say this. ATL. To my ATLians. Any ATLian that is in the sport of boxing, any fighter that trains down here, because we got Brian Norman Jr. down here, we got Elijah Pierce, we got Clarissa Shields is down here now. We got some smoke down here, family. But let me say, Tank was training down here a few months ago with Coach Mustafa. But let me say this, family. We all we got. Don't ever let these race fans turn you or get in your head that they got love for us. They ain't ever had love for us. Anytime a boxer comes out of the South, You don't get love like that off rip unless they're trying to use you for some type of different motive. Because look how they treating Brian Norman Sr. right now. Look how they were talking to Brian Norman Sr. on Mill City last night. I said this going weeks ago. I said, family, don't fall for the hype because, listen, these people are not real supporters of Brian Norman Jr. They're not real supporters of fighters that even come out the South like that. Some people hated on Wilder just because he was from the South. Yep, I'll say it, damn it. Acting like you love the Normans now. Well, damn it, where were you when we were rooting for the Normans and he was representing on Juneteenth? Where were you at then? I can't, listen. And this might be a tribal thing that I'm working on because I grew up around a lot of tribalism, to keep it short. But one of the most cowardly people that I couldn't stand growing up is a click hopper. A click hopper is dangerous. A click hopper is one of the most spineless scum of the earth individuals that you can have around you. And social media has made it safe for a bunch of clip hopping, chatty patty, self-hating Negroes and race fans who have been absent. I got to say this. Do you know how cowardly y'all are? Because some of you watching right now, I just got to tell you, you are some of the most spineless pieces of crap. And I'm going to try not to curse because it's Sunday. But y'all are some of the most spineless pieces of crap on earth. You all couldn't even call in to any of the channels and say, you know what? Y'all right. Y'all right. You was right. Don't tell me about what Brian Norman Sr. did and didn't do, because guess what? Brian Norman Sr. was man enough to say no excuses. He was the better man tonight. Y'all not even man enough. Now let me show you how much testicular fortitude you don't have. Y'all see my family, Bella Faith, in the chat? Y'all see the Queen shower got on YouTube? Y'all see all the sisters that's in these spaces that made a pick. They all was present last night. Every single one of them. And you mean to tell me that these sisters got more testicular fortitude than you? You can't come forward and say, man, you know what, I was wrong. It's because you a coward and a hypocrite. This is the character of these people. This is why I can't be around no step and fetch, double-minded, double-tongued, clip-hopping, self-hating, cooning, Sambo, weak-boned, weak-blooded individual. Because that's how you move. See, you the kind of dude to run every time there's trouble. You'll do all of this. CC family, let me tell you what kind of people you're dealing with. These the kind of people that will be the reason there's a shootout at a party, but they long gone. They done started the trouble, but they long gone. And now social media makes it safe for them. But family, the integrity of the sport of boxing is going back up because the real is here. Real men stepping up to the plate, handling the business. Real women. Clarissa Shields standing up to the plate, handling business. I see y'all, family. The Dirt Game boss in the house. Let me go up. Yeah, man. Dirt Game boss says, great win from Devin and Bill, and still shout out to the Normans. Facts. Black Jericho says, y'all need to review your boxing knowledge if you thought Norman was going to win. Mook underscore said, a draw if there wasn't a knockdown is madness. Thank you, Mook underscore. Thank you. Bella Face says the rival fan bases were diminishing Devin's accomplishments and skill set, and that's why I kept calling out. I respect Dev and always will. Disrespecting and lying on him was too far. Facts. Patrice X said social media, the land of unaccountability. We have to get them from among us, family. And see, what's happening right now is there has to be a clear line between the supporters of the sport of boxing who can disagree. We can have passionate conversations, and the casual fan and race fan and just the self-hating fan. We have to make a clear boundary between us and them. Those of you, I can't tell you what to do. But if you have a channel, I got to say this. Those who make it clear that they are just a hater, they shouldn't have a wrench in your chats. They shouldn't. They should be able to come in, say their piece, and when they start their BS, be blocked by the real wrenches. Because these are COINTELPRO agents in the sport of boxing. Their job and their mission is to come amongst us and cause division, cause chaos. There was a guy that called in to our brother Drew's channel and almost started a whole situation that had already been squashed between two teams. And the brother didn't know that Drew was actually on the phone call that he was talking about. But he was repeating some crap that somebody else said. See, that is an agent of chaos, family. And let me go back to this sweet science. If you didn't learn anything yesterday, you wasn't paying attention. You see, you cannot be an idol worshiper. I love the Mason family. I love how they demonstrate. I love how they move. I love the father and son relationship. But they got work to do when they get back. Abdullah Mason was getting hit with too many overhand rights and rear hands from a fighter who is not slick at all. But he used the right strategy. See, family, it's not just about how fast you are. It's not just about how hard you hit. It's not just about one thing. Like my brother, Stormy B-Man, the sensei says, salute Kevin Dunbar's in the house. Like my brother, the sensei, the great honorable Stormy B-Man, he talks about the dimensions of a fighter. Now, if a fighter has more dimensions than I, what do? I have to come up with a strategy. When I first started boxing, many years ago, I was fighting. The first person I fought against in the gym was much taller than me. He was already had won bouts and everything. He had been amateur for a while. And my coach told me, he said, look, Sarge, because that's what they called me back then. He said, look, Sarge, pressure bust pipes. You're not about to outbox him. I want you to use that old school jab. And when you feel him going back towards those ropes, I want you to let him have it and stay behind that shield. After you let him have it, get your head off the line. First time, I almost knocked that guy out. He was a better boxer, but I was given a strategy that would work, and he underestimated me because he knew I was brand new. Your strategy is just as important as your offensive attack. Abdullah Mason got work to do. A fighter can always get better, but your corner has to get better as well. Dark Kent said, no joke. Noakes was like a little Derevchenko going at Mason. Facts. And Mason was getting hit with some stuff. He got, at one point, he almost got knocked down. You're not always going to be able to stop the person in front of you the higher you go in competition. Bam Bam Rodriguez, I have to say this. Bam Bam fought how Mason should have fought and took no punishment at all. There was one round Abdullah Mason could have stopped Sam. I forget which one it was, but I know it was past the 7th round. Abdullah didn't have enough in the tank anymore because he was trying to stop him in the early rounds, and people were yelling, stop him, stop him. His corner's yelling, stop him. It's too early. It's too early. You have your strategy. You got to have enough in you in those later rounds when you're in that deep water and you've been treading in that water for a long time. You're treading in that water for a long time and that predator is approaching you. And you have to save your energy because you know that once that gator gets close to you, you have to jump on that gator and get ready for that death roll. But if you could just roll with that gator, when that gator gets tired, you could put that poke in that gator and take his life. Remove the soul from that predator that's trying to take your life. It is a war in that ring. And it's called the square circle for a reason. The boxing ring isn't shaped like a circle. The boxing ring that you move in, you are moving in circular movements during combat the whole time. That's why it's called the square circle. We talking boxing talk, so pay attention. Dirk Game Boss said facts. Abdullah made a good adjustment later, but early he was taking too many shots. Coach, and Bill out-coached Norman last night. We got to look at him at that part too. That's a fact. I was saying that earlier. Bill Haney might not be what you all would call an expert boxing coach, but let me tell you what he is. He is an expert strategist. Coach, what you mean by that? Remove your hate for just a second. I don't care if you don't like Bill. Let me explain something to y'all. When Bill needs help, when Bill needs help, he will go get somebody and say, hey, look, we going into this dangerous fight. Salute McTube University Music and Joseph Townsend in the house. He will go and get the right person to say, I need you to help me with a strategy for my son. And shout out to the physical trainers, the strength conditioning coach, the speed coach of Team Haney. Because they had Dev looking like Action Jackson. They had Dev in shape. Yes, there are some things I would like to see. But Dev fought the way he needed to fight. Because they got to a point where Brian Norman Jr. was just trying to land that left. Later on in the fight, Devin did get hit with the left, but it didn't have the effect that Brian Norman wanted it to have. See? Black Jericho said, I noticed Bill shouted out Virgil Hunter as well. Black Jericho. Brother, not only did he shout out Virgil Hunter, he broke down that Virgil Hunter and Mickey Bay are the ones that helped with the strategy. They were in the lab. They were coming up with the sweet science on how to take care of Dev. Yes, rest in peace, Carl Weathers. Jose Diaz in the house. Jose Diaz, man, you've been missing out. I've been playing a soundbite for you all week. He said Devin Haney took care of business. Fact, yes, they should have been the fight of the night. Patrice X says Bill puts blind ego to the side and isn't ashamed to go collect knowledge from others and apply it to his own knowledge. Family, that's what you do. One of the reasons why Dev became so great is Bill would take Dev to gyms all up and down the West Coast, all up and down the East Coast. We're going to go over to the Midwest. We're going to go to the Ohio and get some of that great. Now, those of you that got youngins, let me tell you something. If you're trying to put your youngin in boxing and you don't got a bunch of money to give, you don't got a bunch of money to get a, world-class trainer, get you some equipment, get your youngin in shape, and do the same thing. Once they're in shape, get them under a good coach, okay? They don't have to train them one-on-one, but get them under a coach that's going to keep them from getting hurt And once they start to understand how to protect themselves, start traveling with your youngin. Do what you got to do. Build rapport with other coaches. Go to events, not pro fights. You're not going to get this type of camaraderie. Go to the amateur USA boxing events and talk to coaches. Hey, man, my name's, Coach Hudson. My son here, I'm trying to get him in. He's 10 years old. Could we come to your gym and get him some work? I don't want him taking no real punishment. I just want him to get used to moving around. You start him slow and you build him up. And Bill Haney, regardless of how you feel, has built his son up. Jose Diaz says that's what a great father does. Facts. Facts. We have to call them out who have been an enemy to this sport. Everything that's going on, family, do you all think it's a coincidence that we just saw what we saw right before the year closes out? Do you all think that it's just a coincidence that it seems that since Tank Davis told Lamont Roach, I give and I tank, he's been catching hell? Do you all think it's a coincidence that every fighter that became a sympathizer of Ryan Garcia has had bad misfortune? Do you think it's by a mistake that the Most High has blessed Devin the Dream Haney in front of his enemies? I love when they pan the camera over to Eddie Hearn and Eddie Hearn looked like he lost his puppy. See, I don't care what good things he says. I don't care how much he smiles. All that crap he said years ago when he was cool with Dev, he don't want to see him do good for real unless he's making money from it, because that's who he is. And Jesus said to them, you are of your father, the devil, a liar, and a murderer from the beginning. Do you think it's by mistake? We talking boxing talk, so pay attention. God made us in his own image. They paying that camera over. Family, you got to learn. You got to open up your eyes and get on a different frequency. And if you on the wrong frequency, the great thing about it is you was blessed to wake up this morning to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I need to tighten up. Because I can see the way I even been moving in this sport. And the things I've been saying as a man, I ain't been moving right. I don't let others influence me in the way I was thinking and feeling, because family, I got to tell you, I have to be honest with you. I believe that Team Norman might have fallen into the propaganda. Did Brian Norman Jr. fight Devin any differently than he fought Sasaki? No. So what did they work on? What was the strategy? What was the plan B? Were y'all really listening to these people on YouTube? Were y'all really listening to these people in mainstream media? Y'all really thought you was just gonna walk over Dev? You thought you didn't have to get ready. Y'all didn't have no real strategy. Just yelling, put them together, that ain't gonna do it. Exactly. Now, let me show y'all something. Brian Norman Jr., and just the way he is, he gonna come back from this, but he ain't gonna be the version that you COINTELPRO boxing fans want him to be. And the fake love, they never gonna be what you want them to be. He gonna come back with a vengeance. But let that be a lesson to the brotherhood. Anytime you start getting all this love all of a sudden in the sport of boxing, and you black, there's a high probability it ain't what you think it is. Huh? Let me tell you something. When you behind them bars and somebody leave a honey bun on your bed and you don't know where it come from, you better not eat it. You better not eat it. Find out who put it there and on sight beat the shit out of them. Excuse me, it's Sunday. To my young brothers in the sport of boxing, be weary of the honey bun. Be weary of easily welcomed love. Somebody come to me trying to be too, and I don't know you. I got to hold on. Wait a second. Hold on, family. Hold on, family. Hold on, family. I don't know you like that. Peace, brother, but I don't know you like that. Give me 2 feet. I don't know you like that. Huh? Wake up, family. All this fake love, and y'all see how they disrespecting them brothers right now. And check this out. All the people, I went on my brother Champside's channel yesterday. I think he was up to almost 1 a.m. And I'm in there and I'm watching the folks. All the trolls that was on the list that Champside put, they all missing. That's the character of them, family. That's their character. Bill of Faith says Norman is young and he has time to rebuild. He needs to retool his offensive footwork and get his head off the line. Stop leaping in with his hooks. He also wasn't punching out of the clinch. Facts. That leaping stuff is gonna get him hurt. You got to be in range to do that. And yeah. Vincent Williams says, salute, coach. I've never heard a more well-placed and appropriate analogy. Beware of the honey bun, but we need that on a t-shirt, family. Goddamn, let me put that down. Thank you, family. We're going to go ahead and do that one, too, and beware of the honey bun. Beware. One of my brothers told me, he said, coach, when you in the spirit, you need to write some of this stuff down. I said something yesterday y'all really going to like that I'm going to copyright. Joseph Townsend said, trademark. I heard Ninja say Devin wasn't hungry. You don't be in dog shape unless you hungry. Huh? Think about that, family. Think about it. They made all these excuses. Family, never let, I'm gonna give y'all another lesson. Another lesson I learned as a young man, you know, whether it was in the military, whether it was working in the prison, just coming up as a young man. Never let nobody put a battery in your back to set you up for failure. Don't you kick in nobody's door because this fool that's scared, too scared to do it, is hyping you up to do something. Tell you, oh man, listen, bro, if you down like you say you down, you'll do this. Well, if it's that easy, why don't you just do it? You the leader, we'll follow you. Well, you shouldn't be following nobody like that in the first place, because guess what? Guess what to my young brothers? A real OG is going to set you up for success, not failure. Real OGs are going to tell you, hey, young brother, no. That ain't what I need you here for. You need to get your mind right. You need to get your paper right. You need to do your PCCs and PCIs. Coach, what's a PCC and a PCI? A PCC is a pre-combat check and a PCI is a pre-combat inspection. When you get up in the morning, that PCC, the pre-combat check, is everything you need for that day. Do you have it? The pre-combat inspection is everything that you have. Do you have it and does it work? Do you have it and does it work? That's your PCC, your PCI. You should be doing a daily risk assessment before you step out the house. All right, these are my plans. These are the things that can go wrong, okay? Do I need to get gas in the morning or should I get it at night? All right, maybe I should get it early in the morning where there isn't that many people in the at the gas station, and I'll get more gas and mileage that I put in the car. There'll be less people at the gas station so I can see potential threats. As a man, every movement you make, you should be doing a risk assessment. You should know what you have on you. You should know what's in your car. You should know what tools are in your trunk. You should know everybody you should be running into throughout the day and when something ain't right. Because it is the job of the enemy to knock me off of my straight path and make me deviate. Don't let anybody put a battery in your back to knock you off your straight path. Excuse me. The Dirt Game Boss says Norman Jr. was too stuck on trying to knock Dev out. He didn't use or show no other tools. Tools that he has. Tools that he has. Jose Diaz says, you got to stay ready. You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So family, y'all already know. And listen, everybody that's about to say, I said this, I said that, if it ain't on record, we don't believe you. If it ain't on record, we don't believe you. Okay? We don't want to hear that. If you were not in these spaces, if nobody can vouch for you said it, bro, we don't want to hear that shit. I'm sorry, excuse me. We don't want to hear that stuff. Because you weren't saying it with your chest. Everybody like to be on the right side of history, man. That ain't masculine. There ain't nothing real about that. Eddie Hearn was surprised at last night's results and now attempting to snake Connor Ben into the pick while Devin finished that Norman homework for him and team boots. Facts. See, family, I know y'all think that Coach be tripping, but I just want to show y'all something. And then I'm going to land my plane because I've been live a little hour, right? And I said I wasn't going to be long this morning because I know the whole family's about to go live today. Man, I know my brother Drew Titan gonna go live. I know Queen Shava gonna go live. I know Stormy B-Man gonna go live. I know 78, the General gonna go live. I know my brother Clarence McLean probably gonna go live. I know the team is gonna go live today. You know what I mean? Everybody. But when I say certain things and you think, oh, Coach, man, it ain't that deep. Look, listen to me. It's probably deeper than what I'm saying. But you got to pay attention. You got to stop listening to all this BS and see what this right here. Huh? Dark Kid said Norman had an Air Cement shoes on last night. Facts. Shout out to Mickey Bay. People were asking about who are the up and coming, young coaches that people ain't really talking about. Mickey Bay's a bad man. Mickey Bay's a bad man. J. Leon Love is a great coach, trainer. I don't know if he's coaching now. I know he's training though. I'll keep it a buck. This is from John Parham. I'll keep it a buck. I had Norman in 9. Dev put on some serious boxing IQ last night. Salute to you, fam. And ain't nothing wrong with that, family. There's nothing wrong with that. If you rooted for Norman, ain't nothing wrong with that, family. We all had boxing wins. Boxing wins. No fight was a bad fight. What we need to understand is when you got the real thing. See, these exhibitions is zirconia. It's fake gold, false gold. But when you got that real diamond sitting in your hands, and we all got a diamond, we all win. We all win. You say, what does Top Rank have to say, though? Heard nothing from Bob yet. Bob ain't say nothing from before, and no executives, no major talking heads that represent Top Rank was trying to heavily promote him from the beginning. And I know Top Rank, they tired of taking them losses to Dev. See? But see, they gonna get their money regardless, off the top. We have to draw the line between us and them. We have to draw the line between those who really support the sport. Every man. Because the women have already showed me, for the most part, most of them are on cue. The women who we see on the regular, not these women who try to jump in on the Layla Ali, Clarissa Shields thing, because they not real supporters of the sport. Them the ones who want to be on Love and Hip Hop and Baddies at the age of 50. We're not talking about them. But those women who we see on the regular in these boxing spaces, all of them be standing on business, no matter what they pick is. But as a man, when you see someone knock down and pick back up, knock down and they get back up and fight again, there's something in you as a man that should say, damn, look at that dog. Look at that warrior. Look at that champ. Huh? Anthony Latham says, because they knew he was going to lose when they asked Moretti at the presser about Norman, he talked about how big the event was. Nasty work. Nasty work. Man, when I see a man get knocked down and he get back up and he faces adversity and wins, or faces adversity and they both make it to the end as warriors, man, I gotta say, God, come on, man. Come on, man. It's something that should be in you as a warrior. Well, you respect that. And when I see these cowards and these spineless men in our boxing spaces, I say, see, you not the real deal. Well, wherever you have failed in life, whatever type of things you're trying to project, it's showing and it's disgusting. So shout out to Abdullah Mason. Shout out to Bam Bam Rodriguez. Shout out to Brian Norman Jr. and Devin the Dream Haney. And shout out to David Benavidez and Anthony Yard. And all of those who came through the USA Boxing program. And shout out to the whole family who benefited from a great night for the sport of boxing. Now, the war hasn't been won because we're going to be fighting this war till we leave this earth. But this chapter that we've been fighting for the last 2 years, dealing with the crazed maniacs, the Tank fanboys, the Pat Tars, the Deontay Wilder haters, the Errol Spence haters, the Terrence Crawford haters, that wasn't coming from a place of boxing, but was coming from a place of hate, self-hate, and racism. The cherry has been put on top of the proverbial coon milkshake, the proverbial self-hating milkshake, the proverbial self-hating and racist milkshake. It is over with. And it don't matter what you say at this point. Your plan didn't work. Your ideology has been pushed right back into your face. And you got to eat your crow. And listen, some of them are going to try to wait a few weeks and then come back around. Boy, y'all better hope I don't see you. You better hope I don't see you. I'm not even going to say that to you on a chat. If they drop a link and Coach Hudson gets on the live, tenderism. Off the bone cooking. A great game plan. A great night for boxing. Salute to Devin the Dream Haney, my God. Everything they said, young brother, they wanted you to die. They wanted you to stay down. They made excuses for a drug cheat, Ryan Garcia. Now they're screaming for Matias to be thrown under the jail for popping hot for the same thing. They made hate pages, called you monkeys, cowards, runners, which ain't nothing but a dog whistle. Talked about your nose and your lips as a black man. Constantly wanted to emasculate on every post. This is a slap in y'all faces. Abdullah is on his way. Abdullah got some work to do as soon as they get back. Bellaface said, Coach, you are right on point. Inheriting hateful, lying, casual fans and then buying into the hype they sell. You'll lose every time. Get to work and start rebuilding. It is a nasty disease in them. It's a sickness in them, family, because they know they wrong. But they got so much hate. Let me tell you how crazy the hate is. Imagine that you hate somebody so much that you make up a false reality in your head. You can see this person is better. You can see that this person has the tools, but you will make up your own false reality to hate and say, man, that person ain't got nothing. He ain't ever did nothing. He ain't accomplished nothing. Bro, you are a straight up hater, and you really have the mindset of a white supremacist. I want you to know that. That's the kind of hate you have in you. But family, they're not going to be man enough to come to you and say, you know what, brother, man, I'm sorry, y'all. You know, I was tripping. I jumped on that hate train and I was tripping. That young brother did his thing. And some of you are old enough to be Devin's father. You are sick. Sick-minded. The ped cycle is wild and karma lives within. Matias pops after beating Pulo, who popped dirty as well in the past. Crazy. A man lost his life fighting Matias. But ain't nobody talking about that. Family, I know it's some cooking that needs to be done today, and I'm not gonna hog these airways. I've been live for about an hour and 10 minutes. But family, salute to you all of the truth tellers. And just because you rooted for Brian Norman Jr., that don't mean that you ain't no truth teller. A truth teller in the sport of boxing is someone who, regardless of who you choose, you are able to say, you know what? The better man won. It is what it is. On to the next battle. On to the next battle. Boxing lives on. Peace to the chat. Peace to my comrades. And it's always smoke to the Corntail Pro Boxing fan. It's always smoke to the race fan. It's always smoke to you self-hating Negroes.